ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is episode number 68. Holy shit, episode 68 of the Bullshit Machine, BS Machine. And a couple of episodes ago, maybe 6 or 7 episodes ago, I had a guest on, which I was like, fuck, how is this going to go? Where is this going to go? And it was actually one of the most listened to episodes that I've released. And the reason that I was a little bit apprehensive is because with this dude, we go down the fucking rabbit hole. And with the stuff that's sort of going on around the world at the moment, I would suggest that if you are, you know, in a place where you believe that all that's happening in the world is proper and is right and all that, I reckon just get your little finger and push stop on this podcast now, because everything we talk about will probably piss you off. But if you are in a place where you're looking around the world and you're going, do you know what? Something doesn't really make sense. Then I reckon have a listen, because we've got a guy on again. So I've got him back on. Can we say your name now or not?
Yeah, sure. Go for
it. Anyway, his first name's Jonathan, but yeah. So Jonathan, last time I had him on, we were talking about, you know, all the craziness that's happening in the world back then. But he decided to go on a full world trip to really uncover and discover what's sort of really going on behind the scenes on a metaphysical level. Is that right? Yeah. Metaphysical, was that with the right word?
Yeah.
And
interdimensional.
So interdimensional and whatnot. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, whether you believe him or whether you believe anything we talk about now is actually fucking irrelevant. What is relevant is you might listen to this podcast and really learn something new, because I believe for someone who's a very intelligent human, who's a doctor of osteopathy and what other doctor are you? You're some other doctor, aren't you? You're a scientist or something.
I studied some biology.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's I think it's always good to give a little bit of credence to what you say, because some of the stuff that I talk about is so far out that, you know, if you're like this feral dreadlock shaman dude from Byron Bay, and then you start talking about dragons and all these things, you're like, yeah, whatever. But when you put little letters after your name, then you become a little bit more credible. But it doesn't really matter that much.
Well,
because I think truth has a resonance. So
I agree. Yeah, truth definitely has the resonance, but I think it's important that in order for people to go to the truth, there has to be some sort of vehicle that gets them there. And, you know, me included, you know, if I saw someone that's a doctor of this or that, I'd be like, fuck, you know, I'm going to listen to this guy. He's obviously been in the 3D world and he's done his stuff. So, you know, obviously, and even from the last podcast, man, you're such an intelligent dude, and the way that you deliver your
buttering me up now.
I'm not. I'm just saying. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's metaphysical, interdimensional, whatever the fuck. You're not some guy that's had too many trips or too many drugs and just decided to go down some rabbit hole.
Bit.
Well, a little bit, but you are. You're a guy that's lived in this world for a long time. Well, you know, maybe 40 odd years or whatever. And you found something that you truly believe in, and it's your truth. And I think it's a lot of people's truth. And especially with what's going on around the world right now, I think it's really important to sort of dive into this and see what you've uncovered, where you are, where you've traveled to, and what's coming up next, like what's going on. So where are you right now, Jono?
I'm in Greece. I'm in Crete right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, I mean, it wasn't a journey of discovery like you mentioned. It was more like I'm given like tasks to do. And so just to come back to the previous episodes, we talked a lot about the major crystals. And so this has been like my main, how do you say, purpose. And so these crystals, they've been blocked for a long time. Like you just to remind people, if we want to call like the source God, we can call it the light. So it would send rays to all the dimensions, all the planet, all of creation. But because this light is so strong, it would burn us if it touched us directly. So it's modulated. It goes through the central sun of our galaxy, in the Milky Way. Then those rays come to our sun, and then from our sun, it comes to the core of the planet. And so the core of the planet is the heart, if you want to say, of the light. And so then this light diffracts in all these crystals. So you could call these crystals the major organs of our planet. And so there's 15 of them, 15 major ones, and they've all been switched off. So we've been living in a dark world without really realizing it, because darkness has become kind of like normal for us. I think we have some kind of subconscious memories of what it is to be in a healthy place, like full of love and light, which hasn't really happened on this planet for a long time now. So all the mythology of golden age and the fall, it comes from this. I think this is the infrastructure of light, you could say. And so because they're switched off, our consciousness cannot really raise that much. And we live in a prison, shall we say. Like when the rainbow is there and all the colors, all the crystals are functioning, there's no, like the systems that we have now in place, they don't really match this kind of light. So we cannot live in a dog-eat-dog world. It's a lot more of a harmony. And so I went to Lapland, which was fucking freezing. It was not easy. And so because why Lapland? Not really my first destination if I want to spend.
And those people that don't know where Lapland is, where's Lapland?
Yeah, so that's the north of you could say the north of Scandinavia. So north of Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia. And so it's Finno-Greek people who live there. So they're like, the biggest tribe is called the Sami. And so they're like the reindeer people, and they're one of the 5 minorities, for example, in Sweden. And so over there was the Indigo Crystal. So her name is Karuna. And this is an important crystal because, you know, of all the colors of the rainbow, there's only 2 that actually touch everything. So you have the emerald, which is based in Southeast Asia, the emerald crystal, the emerald heart of our planet, near Papua. And so this one is called Kerwari, and that's more of a male crystal. So this is the fire. Like this is why, you know, those northern lights, they have an emerald color. It's because it's the fire of, you could say, the astral. And so the indigo is the color that comes above the rainbow and touches every colors, but from above. And the emerald is the one that comes from below. So it touches all the colors. So they're connected. You could say that these 2 crystals are poles. And I don't know what you believe, but if you believe that the Earth is hollow inside, same like the moon, then there's also another globe inside the heart of the planet that is rotating. And this globe also has 2 poles. So basically we live in 4 poles. But these 4 poles are based on 4 major crystals. And so there's a way to activate the grid sequentially that needs to be done at specific dates. So I don't know, I think it links to energies coming from outside and alignment with different stars. And so I wasn't really keen on going in January to North Lapland, but that's when I had to go. So it was really very, very cold.
Yeah. And so can I just ask, when you say that you didn't really decide to go traveling around the globe and open up these crystals, but it was more like you're being given tasks. Are you like what do you mean by that?
Who gives me the tasks?
Yeah.
Well, I just go on krystal.com and then I try to check.
Oh my God, can I go there now? Yeah.
No, I think there's no resources for this because it's not the, you know, like, let's say when I was young, I didn't even know there was major crystals. Like I had a feeling, you know, of course, like some kind of memories.
Yeah.
But mainly for me is because I stayed 1 month in the jungle in Papua over the emerald. And somehow that created a connection from my heart crystal to the heart crystal of the planet.
Mm.
And what I discovered is that this Karwari crystal, it has a lot of little small, how do you say, small points, like spikes of crystals. And these guys have a lot of information. It's a library. And I'm not the only one. When I first started talking about this, like, okay, we need to activate this grid, blah, blah, blah. People didn't really believe in me, but they trusted me. So I had a small group, which is a great group of souls, man, that work with me. And a lot of them are quite psychic, and they all saw that crystals, and a couple of them have a big connection to it, and they also have access to that library now.
Yeah.
So like I get the information from the emerald mainly. This is my
From the
source
emerald.
of
Yeah. And so before you were talking about consciousness, the subconscious, all that type of stuff. So because I think people would probably understand consciousness more, because we've got, the subconscious, the unconscious, the conscious, and then some people might call it the super conscious, where everything's connected on all levels of time and space. So are these because as far as I understand, when you go into the subconscious, whatever the subconscious sort of spits out is what the external reality ends up being, or what anyone's experience ends up being. So are these crystals connected to like everyone around the world, and are they connected to their subconscious, or what, where, or is that just totally irrelevant?
No, there is a link to it, obviously. Some masters have gone way beyond whatever I can apprehend about consciousness, especially like I would say like Buddhist metaphysics. So you could say that we are a mind, and we have a body and a soul. And so consciousness for me would be this part of you that is aware of whatever. So this part of you that is aware, according to a couple of my teachers and the Abhidharma in Theravadan Buddhism, it's basically a series of chittas that they call, so like mind moments that are appearing and disappearing. So it goes really fast, and you got like about maybe 1.8 billion of them appearing and disappearing in a second. And so mostly we are aware of the top of these mind moments. So you could say this is the conscious aspect that we have. The subconscious would be the middle aspect of these waves appearing and disappearing, and the unconscious would be the bottom part. But all of them in this reality are connected to some kind of physical aspect. And so your body reflects your mind also. So the stiffer, the more blocked your mind. And this is the whole vaccine operation agenda also, is because if they can basically control your body, they control your consciousness. But the crystals come into the story because, people don't really know how an embryo develops, like why, you have these cells separating and forming really perfectly, creating organs, symmetry, blah, blah, blah. And they're trying to find out how does it work. So most of the theory, it's like it's coming from your DNA. There's some kind of organizational mechanism. But what I've discovered is that it's actually the crystals. So all of us humans have inner crystals, but they're not physical. Like you don't have like an amethyst in your stomach, but you do have like an etheric crystal just below your heart. And if you pay attention, when people point to themselves and say like, who, me? They're not going to point to their head or to their toes. They're going to point to a place, yes, but usually below the heart. So they're pointing to this crystal, which is called Ko. And so we also have another one that is behind the third eye, so just in your forehead, and that's called the Ki, Ky, yeah? And so these crystals are like the particle modulator of your consciousness, how you can actually interact in a physical reality by something that is not fully physical. So you need an interface. And so these crystals are the main ones. And so every one of us have different crystals, different shapes, different rays, different colors. And this is your structure. And so
So can I just ask, sorry,
Yeah.
because I think it's important for the, for people listening and whatever, that they actually understand what crystals mean. So, because most people would think crystal and they'd think, oh, I've got an amethyst crystal or a whatever crystal in my hand, tourmaline, whatever else, right? And so just so people can actually grasp what the fuck we're talking about, the crystal is, we're talking, it's an energetic vehicle, it's an energetic connection. Is it light? What is it that where the mind could understand? Is there a way to explain what a crystal is?
What you mean, the inner crystals
Yes.
in humans?
Yeah.
So okay, so it's basically light that is to the at the limit of becoming physical. So it's
Yeah.
not physical, but it's right there at that border.
Yeah.
And so this is like your Wi-Fi connection to the source. Okay.
Great. Yeah.
And so yeah. So
Yeah,
from that
great.
from that core center, receiving the light is your identity. It's what basically is your, how can I describe? You're functioning from there, whether you realize it or not. You're functioning from those crystals, but by themselves they are neutral. Yeah. So it's like your choices and how you act in this world will influence those crystals, because many people have broken heart crystals or dark, they have black in the heart crystals. And so they are not connected to them also. So a lot of people don't connect the two. So when you are in integrity, when you are doing your, I don't know, purpose in this life and functioning, and because we're all different colors, there's not one path fits all. You have to walk your path. So if you're blue, you may be more of a teacher. If you're indigo, you're gonna have a lot of emotions, a lot of love also. This is why we call all these indigo kids that were quite blocked, because the problem is whatever crystal you have, there's a mother crystal that charges it. And so this is the sneaky part of what happened on this planet, is that they switched off all those mother crystals, so that we're all lost and living in a sick system, a black system, whether we realize it or not. I think it was comfortable for a lot of people after World War II, but it was just a pause, and maybe it was given to us so that we wouldn't like be vigilant.
Yeah.
And so the darkness now is taking full control.
Yeah. Okay. So with the how the darkness is taking full control, where are we at? Where do you see as you go on your journey and you're unblocking these crystals and you're bringing them back to light and you're regenerating the crystals around the world?
I'm not really regenerating. I'm just it's not just me. You're a group of people. They're portals. Because they receive the light, so they're portals. And so once you unlock a crystal, and this is done through sound a lot, because every crystal has specific mantra, so specific sound words, power words that open or close it.
Yeah.
And what I discovered is that a lot of the closing words for these crystals were basically put into most languages, so that we would actually, by speaking and communicating with each other, we would actually reinforce the prison we're in and reinforce the darkness. And so there's a lot of, I think eventually we'll have to come up with new words, more connected, more in harmony, and maybe even a new language. And this was the greatest gift from the emerald to me, is that I was able to channel the crystal language, one of the original languages. So when you look at Sanskrit, the Krit of Sanskrit is the crystal source. So Slavonian, Old Russian, Sanskrit, it has a lot of the original language in harmony.
Can
Other
you
languages have a lot of the closing words
closing word?
as names, as even as religious incantations that basically kill the rainbow and increase the power of the darkness.
So in terms of mantra, like because I've used mantra a lot in my journey, whether it's in yoga or meditation or whatever else I'm sort of doing, and even through my day, I use mantra quite a lot. So, is there, if people were to maybe get involved and see if they can help you and help the world open its crystals, is there one mantra that we could all maybe speak out to the universe or speak out to the galaxy, that because, and I mean, I reckon you're about to tune into something and bring out a general mantra that people might be able to say to themselves once a day.
I think that's a good question. I haven't done one mantra for all the 15 crystals. I've been doing them, specifically for each crystal, because every crystal has a key. Every name also has a key. And so I've been doing them for mainly for the emerald, recently for Karuna. The most blocked crystals are the female ones, actually. The female light has been the most damaged and infected on our planet. So one of them is the Kina crystal, which is at the bottom of the Mariana Trench in the Pacific. That's the lunar crystal. Then the Karuna one was a female one also. And you know what's cool, Tommy, is when we helped reactivate Karuna at night. And this is cool because I was not alone. One of the member of our team was with me. And so there was two of us. We saw a rainbow at night. I didn't even know it was possible.
Wow.
And so we saw a rainbow at night. And the direction, and I was like, what, is this a rainbow? So I was asking her, and she's like, yeah. And then it was quite, you couldn't really film it because it was at night, but it was a clear rainbow. And if I looked at the direction, the source of that rainbow came from the emerald, and it was going towards the indigo. And somehow, I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but there was so many indigo colors after the reactivation for the next few days. It was just like indigo everywhere, in Taipei, in Finland, in Italy, in Scotland, because some of the people that I follow or follow me on Instagram send me a lot of pictures. So for me, it was like every, because sometimes I think like, okay, like I don't think I'm crazy, but crazy people never think they're crazy. So, like, okay, like, is this really real? What I'm doing, and is this really? And I always have nature signs, and this is what reinforces my commitment to it. Like it's some crazy stuff always happens, but a lot of it has to do with rainbows. So, for example, at the Emerald Place, the chief of the village near the Emerald, he keeps sending me like videos of like these crazy rainbows, things that don't usually happen, have appeared now around the Emerald all the time. Why? And it's a good sign because it means the rainbow is coming back. It's yes. Like even though we're in the
I was just going to say these villages that you've been visiting, are they like actual remote villages that you've gone into, and they're living in huts and whatever else? Yeah. And they're totally removed from the world.
Well, yeah, I mean, they don't have Wi-Fi or internet over there, but they have generators for electricity. But I think, like these guys, like speaking to the shamans, for example, near the Emerald, I met two of them. They never even been to school, but one of them, she was raised by a dragon. But the dragon took usually over there, they take the shape of a small man with about the size of a child. So he was helping her feed herself because her parents left her in the jungle. And so she was telling me all the different crazy stories about, you know, growing up with a dragon helping her to feed herself.
Yeah.
And then the other one, he grew up without going to school, but he can speak to birds and plants, and he knows everything about it because they're so in tune. Actually, their thymus, you know, it's a gland that basically calibrates your immune, you know, your immune lymphocytes to go and defend your body. And it kind of like shrinks as you grow up. But their thymuses in Papua, they're huge, and I believe it's linked to the crystal, and they still have the connection to nature. So, and you know what? A lot of them, like the government came to vaccinate all the remote villages at one point. None of them showed up. Like when the government came with all the vaccines, like they all left, and it was like empty village, you know.
Yeah.
And like none of them, they don't check, you know, VERS, like or any kind of websites that talks about the vaccines. They just feel. They just know there's something.
They just
wrong.
know. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you sort of say that. And look, last thing I want to do is talk about vaccines or whatever, but on that, you know, I've got a few mates, and I know quite a few people that have had, you know, a couple of vaccinations, have jabbed themselves twice or whatever. And now in Australia, they're trying to mandate the booster, and so it's fucking funny, man, because all these people are getting really pissed off because they're basically saying, hang on a second, so what you're saying that if I don't get the booster, that I'm seen as a fucking unvaccinated person. So like, even though I've put that shit in my body twice now, you're basically saying I'm unvaccinated, you know? And then it's just funny. And then I also know, you know, I know a number of people obviously with what I do that are unvaccinated as well. And they're just going, so if I just get the booster, does that mean I'm good? You know, so it's like, there's just so many people are sort of pissed off because they're like, hang on, you said to me, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
And now you're changing the ball game, you know? So, and I get it. I mean, I understand the frustration. It would be super frustrating for so many people. And so I look at people like you that are out there on a mission, and, you know, whether you like it or not, and whether you believe in the, not severity, in the power behind what you're doing, just the simple fact that you left, you know, Bali, and you left your profession to go out, and because you've got this thing inside you where you're like, you know what, this shit is real, and you've made it real enough to go out there, and you're almost like a messiah. You've got people. Well, I'm not being an idiot, but that's a joke. But it's like you've got people that are sort of jumped on board, and they're like, "Oh my god, yep, cool, we get it too. Let's go and get this done." You know, so I mean, where are we at now, Jono? Like, what's are we, like, in all honesty, are we going into even more darkness and more shit? I mean,
unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately, like it's always the darkest before the dawn.
Yeah.
So this work on the crystals is basically for the dawn. Yeah. Like if we want to live in harmony again with Yara, our planet, then these crystals need to be reactivated, and we can use them. So some of us have started to use them directly. Like I know, for example, my friend, he's a healer. He's been using the yellow crystal in Yucatan, the Kibanchi, because it's reactivated. So the rays coming from there can be used. We lost the channels to them, but we can remember how to use them. And you could call it magic. Like it's a good way to describe using these rays. But so where we are now, like, come back to the premise that we talked about in the first podcast. Yeah, there's a very dark elite at the top of the world that believe they are royalty, that they descend from Atlantis, and then after that Egypt, and before that even some connection to Mars, because a lot of them, you know, like really want to go to Mars. So if you look at you know, they found a big sculpture in Mars. You can look at the images, there's loads of them. And that image represents Nerkal, which was one of the Sumerian Babylonian gods, gods of war. But anyway, this dark elite is also connected to all the dark rituals, pedophilia, satanic stuff. But they went a little bit too fast with their COVID operation. So instead of boiling the frog slowly, I was surprised at how easy it was for them in the first year. But I think now, like, their narrative is a little bit crumbling. So they're going to go for their contingency plan. So some kind of false flag, you know. So they realize, like, a lot of people are waking up, and that the double jabbed will probably not take a third one, and are kind of, I hope the double jabbed are pissed off, because if you don't realize that the government has been lying to you from the beginning, now you probably never will. But, you know, now is the time to actually say, fuck this, like, really step up, you know, and say no more. Like, you do not command me. Because these people at the top, they're a very small number. It's not a lot of people, but they control the world, yeah, through all their networks and organization. And they have controlled the world mainly via magic, because what I realized, for example, in Europe is all the portals here are blocked and hexed, even in Greece. So I had to go, and I'm still going to different places where it's been, yeah, black magic done on one specific ley line, which is connected to the energetic grid of this planet. And they've basically corrupted, distorted the whole network of this planet. And so this is a form of magic, but they use it with symbols also, with words, with Hollywood, if you look at, if you're into symbols, you can look at all the signs that they leave all around the world. You just look at the symbol that they put in flags, in the you know, government institutions, in company logos, and all these symbols are like letters. So with these letters, you can make a word, and with the word, you can make a story. So you understand their agenda. And so they went a little bit fast, and now they're going to move on to the next phase, because this COVID operation, it had to be when Sirius, which is another star system, was behind the sun. It has to be within 5 eclipses. It's a black magic ritual that they've started, but on a global scale. And so it's basically, they want to control most of the population in their blood now, hence the vaccines. So in a way, you could say that our physical body is a microcosm of the universe. Like, it doesn't just appear like this by chance. So some of the manipulation was to make us feel bad about our bodies, and like make us think that we're created by some Anunnaki to mine gold in Sumeria. But this is not our body is sacred. So we are sacred. The whole nature is sacred. But if you want to control nature, if you want to control the universe, you control the microcosm. And so the way you control the body is what they've done for a long time now, is through the food. So all the fluoride, all the genetically modified cereals and all that. And then you control the mind through education and culture and Hollywood, the movies, Netflix, and all that stuff. And then now you control the physical body with those vaccines. So they're moving on to the next step. You marry the biological with the mineral, so you can climb up the tree of life without going through the spiritual love process that is in harmony in general. So it's a form of black magic that they're doing on a global scale, to be able to fully control this planet, and then from this planet expand.
Yeah. So, okay, so on that, with because I mean, look, whether you've been vaccinated, unvaccinated, whether you've been vaccinated, unvaccinated, whatever, right? It's like, I genuinely believe that, and I might be wrong because I haven't done the amount of work and whatever that you have, and you know, even energetically, but I still believe that we have the power to heal ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And you know, my question is that if you've been vaccinated, can you bring that back and can you come back?
I think everything is possible. I don't know how deep into your DNA these things that they put inside the vaccines have gone. So I don't know how far you can unvaccinate physically, but like we talked about in the last podcast, there's loads of good remedies that I have a friend who's doing them based on this plant, and this plant is reptilian. So in a way, you fight poison with poison. So all the symptoms that vaccinated people have had after the jabs, they disappear with those remedies. But I don't have the equipment or even the inclination to really study how far it goes into the DNA. But remember that what's going on right now is beyond your small individual self.
Exactly. That's where I was going with it. Yeah. So that's where I was going with it. So my question, the true question where I was leading to it is, us as individuals and those of us, regardless of our vaccination status, whether you got the green tick or not, or whatever, regardless of that stuff, us as individuals, short of, because when you say you've got to take a stance and stand up to your government, you know what, 9.99 people out of 100 won't do fucking anything, right? Because most people aren't, because that means they're going to lose their jobs, they're going to lose money, they've got family. They're like, dude, fuck off, man. I've got a kid to look after, I've got a family to feed. Like, no, I'm not doing that shit, right? Most people. But my question is, what can, and even people like me, like who are really into spirituality, I totally believe I believe in all the stuff you say. I've experienced this metaphysical stuff. I've experienced interdimensional. So many people have, right? But it's like, what can people do, regardless of the level of consciousness or awareness you're on? What can we do as individuals to start bringing the fire down?
The fire?
Yeah, the fire, as in the blackness, the darkness. How can we start to eliminate that? And what can we do as individuals? And I know it's a really loaded question, but if anyone's going to answer it, it's you.
Okay, so let's look at the situation, what's going on right now. Basically, you could stay in your comfortable bourgeois life up to 2019, okay? From 2019, something happened all around the world that slowly became more and more heavy. And so at one point, you could not just sit on the sidelines and look at it anymore. You had to actually make a decision when they start to say, hey, listen, if you want to be part of the system, you need to put this in your body. So from then on, you're faced with a choice. And I think what it is who are we? Why are we here? Did we come on this planet to develop our soul in a physical body? Or are we just a physical body that works in a capitalist system with governments that tell us what to do and what we can or cannot do? And so if you are a soul here to grow in a physical body, then basically it's not just play and fun. You also have a responsibility. And now that you realize that the whole external is kind of sick and dark, you can switch off from the main media. That's a big thing. You can throw away your TV. That's a huge one also, because even when it's switched off, it still sucks your energy. And then you can start to assert your sovereignty again. You're here, you're a soul, you're a free being. You're not weak like they want you to believe. And so when you assert your sovereignty, what does it mean, like in the physical matter? It means that if they ask you, for example, whether you get the jabs or you lose your job, then you lose your job, even if you have kids and you trust, because whatever you feel inside your heart, your connection, this is what you need to find. Like, you don't have to listen anymore to even this podcast or whatever, like external sources of authority or information. Just connect to yourself and to the source and listen to it and be strong enough to actually follow it. this is, I mean, evil, like the black is part of reality. Like it has a role to play. Like evil and good, I don't like these words, but let's call it like this. Evil and good are always fighting. Okay, this is just the one laws of, you know, like this is just the how things are. But from this battle, life is born, and actually evolution happens. And so evil sometimes often comes to test the good, and the good gets complacent, you know, it gets lazy. And so evil is there, but evil is a lot more persistent and a lot more and very manipulative and very, very good at it. And so when evil comes in, it's basically gives you like, forces you to evolve. So if you're faced with those choices, then don't fold. Don't fold. Be brave, not for yourself, for the planet. Like, because in a way, there's a spiritual choice that you make when you decide to submit. And when you submit, so you can heal your body, but that spiritual choice is a small form of betrayal. You've betrayed Yara and you've betrayed yourself. So especially if you're doing it against your own feelings, because you've allowed an external form, which is not that strong, actually. Like, of course, the army comes, the police comes, that's pretty strong over you. But what is it that you live for? Is it, you know, comfort? Is it, why are we here? If it is to, if you really feel that it is to grow your soul, then it's amazing to be alive right now, because huge evolution can come from facing these difficult tests that are placed in front of you. And so this is why we talked about last time, like when I say step up or raise to the occasion, this is what it means. Assert your sovereignty, connect to yourself and your source, and really be loyal to it. Whatever the external throws at you, it doesn't matter. You stay connected to your own sense of truth and you do whatever it tells you. And if it means going in the bush and growing your own food and living off grid, then do that. If it means going to you know, to protest and bring a truck in front of the parliament, then do that. But this, we can see the system is evil and dark. So this system will collapse. It's not going to last for very long. So all the money thing and the money issues, it's important only for a few more years, and then it will end. So the problem is the technology, everything that's been developed in our civilization is actually parasiting Yara. It's sucking her energy. So even those cables of electricity, those pipelines, whatever, they're not good for her. All these satellites that we have around the atmosphere of our planet, they're not good for her. So she knows this. I mean, I don't pretend to fully understand her, but I have feelings and I have some kind of communication. And so she will purify herself. She will shake, and it's Kali Yuga, you know. So for people who don't know, we live in a dark age. This comes from Hindu and Buddhist tradition. So it's a degenerate age where the darkness is on the top. We didn't fully see it before, but I think after 2 years of this bullshit, I think a lot of people can see that there's something really dark running the show. And so this darkness has to be purified. And so a lot of people will die, unfortunately. It's an end of cycle. And the way it happens in this particular Kali Yuga is through fire. So volcanoes, a lot of it around the world, will start to wake up, and then this will cause tsunami. But remember that this Dark Brotherhood also can control the weather and have invested so much money into space and advanced technology. So they have a lot of different plans up their sleeve. Fake alien invasion, I mean, war with Russia, whatever, like they decide to do, but it will be a false flag. They need to direct the anger that is focusing on them right now into another place and increase the fear. So they will do something in the next few years that will increase the fear. But
what, like another pandemic or a fake? Did you say a fake alien invasion?
Yeah, that's one of their plans, but I think they want to establish full control. So it has to be something where they can do martial law. And also they cannot keep all the unvaxxed alive and free, because it becomes a control group that basically breaks their narrative. If they don't die and they don't get COVID, all the unvaxxed, then, you know, the whole thing has been a lie. So they have to, in this black magic global ritual, there's a sacrificial period where blood needs to be spilled. We haven't gone there yet. It's coming. I think the heaviest times will be 2025 to 27. It's never good to prophesize the future, you know, but I think it's important. I think a lot of us feel it, like it's the calm before the storm. Even though the calm was pretty fucking heavy in the last 2 years, it's still gonna get unfortunately worse. But after that, it gets way better. After that, it's like, oh, it's really good.
Oh man, it's like when you talk, I get excited, but then I get fucking scared at the same time. I'm like, 25, that's like 3 years away. Like fucking hell. What do we do for another 3 years? You know, it's just like, do we just go around and lick poles, or what do we do?
I think get out of the big cities, number
Yeah.
one. So however your life is organized, make a plan to get out of the big cities. Try to find food, shelter, health, a mean of exchange, and a community. This is a good plan, I think. So if you can have your own food and water and your own health care, you're pretty much sovereign. And like away from the 5G towers, that could be good also.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of basically very precious metals in those 5G towers. So if you're in a, you know, I'm not saying anything, but if you're in a precarious financial situation, I would just go and check out those 5G towers. You could sell a lot of the good metals.
Yeah. Fuck, man. And so, okay, so short of you know, that's the top of the tree where most people, we can stay sovereign and own our bodies. No one can tell us what to do. And if you're feeling intuitively, you're feeling that, you know, I'm not going to put any more stuff in my body, or if I'm being forced and it doesn't feel right, I won't do it. That's like, well, I guess the top of the tree is what you're doing, where you're traveling around the world, opening up crystals, and it comes down. And then you've got that where, you know, people can just go, nah, no more, we're done. What about a couple of levels down from there? Like, is there something we can do short of that, where because people would look at that as they're fucking up their life in something that they don't even know is real or not? You know, because I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm just playing devil's advocate. You could look at this whole thing. Like, if I go back over my life, when I used to go travel to Thailand or whatever, they're like, oh, you need a vaccination for measles, or not measles, vaccination for whatever, malaria or whatever it was, right? And so, so you could look at it from that angle and go, well, how is that different? I mean, this is just, why shouldn't I just go get vaccinated, you know, regardless of what's going on?
So yeah, what you have to realize also is that there's even though it's quite heavy in the human world, there's a lot of shift happening on an energetic level, on a dimensional level. So the canals of magic are open again. And so right now, unfortunately, these canals are used by the black magicians at the top of our world. And remember that they feel like they're the kings of this planet, but they also worship higher entities. And we talked about this in the first podcast. So these higher entities are these fallen dragons. The good thing is that there's only two of them left. So Satan and Lucifer. So Satan is more based in the Middle East, Lucifer more in the north, but they are pretty powerful, pretty evil, pretty manipulative. And so this whole operation is basically started by them. And so what we can all do, I think, on an individual level is reconnect spiritually. I think this operation was only successful because most people were disconnected, and they focused on the European races because one thing about European culture that that is really strong and maybe more weak in other culture is questioning authority, questioning religion. And so they needed to get out, they needed to disempower basically the people that could fight back. In Asia, it's a lot more compliant. So whatever the authority will say, people will follow. And basically in Africa, they're less organized. So they needed to get out the main opposition. And so if we accept that things are opening up again on a dimensional level, and a lot of people have become a lot more aware recently, even around me. Like I see like a lot of people working in my group have become more psychic. They're getting more energies, more visions, more knowledge, more clear about their purpose. Everybody's individual, so you have to find your own purpose. And there's no method really for this, but there are some techniques to basically make you more open and more concentrated, more clear. I think meditation techniques are really important, especially if you do them a little bit regularly. And so you could use, breathing techniques. So just be aware of your breath every day, even just 5 minutes. Just focus on the awareness of the breath. Just 5 minutes when you wake up or before you go to sleep. This has a huge effect on your soul and your mind. And so sound meditation have become very powerful because sound is one of the key to these magic channels. So you can do different mantras inside yourself. If you want to help, for example, this indigo crystal, the words of the mantra that opens and empowers this Karuna indigo crystal is Aliya Lina Karuna Ana Danaha. Aliya Lina Karuna Ana Danaha. So you could repeat this, for example, every day. This is just an example of a mantra that connects you to the indigo ray. And the good thing about the indigo ray is that it affects all the colors. So this will connect you to the indigo energy, which will basically replenish your love. Aliya Lina Karuna Ana Danaha. Aliya Lina Karuna Ana Danaha.
And just keep
That's
repeating
one example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you just heard that, you could push the button that says go back 15 seconds and actually write that down, that mantra down, and keep repeating that.
Yeah. And I can give you another one, because like I said, it's the female crystals that have been the most damaged and corrupted. The orange one in the Middle East is still super corrupted. So everybody who has orange rays in their heart crystal, they're not feeling good. The indigo ones are not yet feeling good because by opening that crystal, a lot of the negativity has come to the surface. And so all the indigo souls have been very emotional, feeling very heavy and sad recently. But things will get better. And the more you repeat this mantra, especially if you're an indigo soul, the more empowered you will be. So Aliya Lina Karuna Anadanaha. This is for the Karuna crystal. If we talk about the silver crystal, these are people very connected to the moon and usually to sounds, because most of them are singers or they had past life as mermaids or whatever. They're connected to the ocean also. So for the Kina crystal, this is Kina Mula Aharea Shitadana Lina Akaruna. So I will repeat it. Kina Mula Aharea Shitadana Lina Akaruna. I repeat it again. Kinamula Aharea Shitadana Lina Karuna. And actually, if you repeat the names of these major crystals, it empowers them. If you don't use the name that closed them, it also is better for them. So the first one, you could say the teacher crystal Kushita. So if you repeat Kushita regularly, you will also empower the white crystal.
Kushita.
So Kushita. Yeah.
Kushita. Yeah.
Exactly.
Makes me happy.
This is the one in the Himalayas.
Makes me happy.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the source of truth, that crystal.
And if you're listening and you haven't worked with mantra before, usually when you're starting out with mantra, the best way to, I guess, marry yourself with a certain mantra is to just all the one that Jono was just talking about, if there's one of them that you feel good about and that sounded nice to you, that's probably the one that that you're connected to.
That you need to repeat, yeah.
But you need to
So
repeat.
maybe let's go. Let's go over all the crystals. I think that could be helpful, the major ones.
Yeah. How many is there?
15.
15.
So Kushita,
yeah, I'm just no, I'm just thinking like that's a big commitment, you know, like I mean, I get it, but
no. I don't mean like repeat the 15 crystals. I mean like your color, your favorite color, just repeat that one.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay.
Go for it.
So white Kushita, red, if you feel connected to red, Kurkuria. Okay. Then you can go to the third crystal, the one in the yellow one in Yucatan. This one is Kibanchi. They all start with K, by the way. And you know, any language on this planet, there's no word for crystal in any language on this planet that doesn't start with a K. That's the crystal bija, the crystal seed. So Kibanchi, you can repeat Kibanchi if you're connected to the yellow one. Then if you're that lunar soul or connected to the sounds or the ocean or the moon, then you repeat Kina Mula. Mula opens Kina. She was very damaged. And then you can go then to the fifth crystal, which is the emerald, and that's Kerwari. So Kerwari. Then you go to the sixth. This is the one that is quite damaged and black right now. So I would be careful with this one, but her name is Kailesha. And this is the one in the Middle East. Then you go to the seventh crystal, that's the one in Egypt, and this one is Kam. So you could say Kamra. This is the solar one. So if you're connected to Egypt or to the sun or to the gold ray, and usually you're in a position of authority or you have a lot of money. If you have the gold ray, for sure, materially you're comfortable. And you want to be even more comfortable, just repeat Kamra. Okay, that's the number 7. Then you go to the number 8. This one is not active yet. This is Colorada. That's the aquamarine. If you're connected to aquamarine, just repeat Colorada. Number 9, this was the Karuna. So I gave the mantra for this one already. That's the indigo. People who are indigo feel a lot usually. They have a lot of emotions. Then you go to number 10. This is the blue one. So this is in the South Pacific at the bottom of Moorea Island. And the name is Kokorea. Kokorea. Just repeat Kokorea. Then you go to the number 11th. This is Kitai. So that's also not activated. This is a purple-red color. It was in China before. That's why the name China, for example, in Russian is Kitai. It's from the crystal. So then you move on to the number 12. This one is also not activated. This is in Antarctica. And we shouldn't repeat these words. Antarctica or Arctic, it closes the rays. So Alkinar is the original name of Antarctica. Same like Lemuria. The original name of Lemuria is Aliconda. And the Mu part of Lemuria is Amaru. So if you want to empower these energies, you say Aliconda Amaru. So for Kartika, you just repeat Kartika. With the A at the end, it opens her. She's purple with a little bit of white at the bottom. And she's the one that connects the planet to the outside universe, the outside cosmos. So this is Kartika. Then we move on to the number 13. And so you have the pink crystal at number 14, and then a purple, white, silver at number 15. And so the pink crystal is called Cloerin. This one is in Thailand. And you can just, it's not active yet. So this is for this year, the pink crystal. We have another one in Greenland. This is Kurultayan. That's the last crystal. Yeah. That's the number 15. And so Kurultayan is just the name of that crystal that you can repeat. But whatever color you feel connected to, whatever story you feel connected to, you can repeat simple words if it helps you.
As a mantra.
The number, yeah, the number 13 was the space crystal, and that's called Kasha. It's in Siberia. This one is active already.
Yeah. Yeah. And just repeat their name. So as a mantra, you'd go Kamra, Kamra,
Yeah,
Kamra,
for example.
Kamra,
Yeah.
or Kusha, Kasha, or whatever it was. Yeah, yeah.
Kasha.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
Kasha, Kasha.
And so
Yeah,
you
man.
can also do regular meditative practices. So you do a bit of concentration, focus on your breath. Then you go in nature and just repeat the name of our planet, Yara.
Yara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is enough to connect to her. Yara. Oh, Yara.
Love it, man. Love it. So, wow, so much, it's just so much information there. And I think, you know, what it all comes down to is all of us have, all of us know where we are, and all of us have we all have opportunities to change and shift the planet. Whether we're in some sort of disaster mode, like the pandemic, or whether everything's fine. But you know, I think what it all comes down to is we all have this ability, this power, this energy to really shift the planet. And that's the key thing here, is to be able to, like, you know, take ownership over what's really going on in the world, and make it your own. And if you don't like what you see, then make a fucking shift, make a change. And so the things that we've covered, I mean, the things that we've covered in this episode are, I personally think are a lot more accessible than where we went last time. And I think that what we talked about today is very real, and it's scary but fucking exciting at the same time. You know, knowing that, you know, unless we make a change, we make a shift, shit's going to go downhill real quick.
You know, as we reactivate these major crystals, like I said, they're interdimensional portals also. So many beings want to come here. This is really the biggest show in the universe at the moment. It's showdown. So in a way, we are so lucky to be alive at this moment. And the fact that they want to control humanity and our inner crystals is because collectively we are so powerful. We are a rainbow. We are movable crystals that are able to create. We are creators. So you can, how do you say, if you fall into their control, you will create the reality they want. You will empower whatever ego, power, evil trip they're on. But you can move away from this and basically create what you want to do. Collectively, we can do this. Right now, all the crystals are not active, so it's not as powerful. But as soon as all the 15 are active, as soon as the purification has happened a little bit, we have no idea about how things will be. They will be incredible, magical. Like really, I really believe this, because inside of our soul, we have memories of how things can and maybe even should be. Like, this is a magical planet. This is why very, very high demons are here. They didn't go to, you know, there's so many galaxies just in our superclusters. There's so many planets, but they decided to come on this one. Why? Because Yara is very special. She's a royal dragon soul that decided to become a planet. And her main colors are emerald and red. This is why all the plants are green. It's not because of course, it's chlorophyll and all that stuff, but it's mainly because her soul is mainly emerald and red. And so they want to take control over her because she has this insane amount of power and creativity that from this planet, they can control the galaxy. And so we are living on this planet at a time of, it's basically war right now. It's a little bit silent, but it's very, very deadly. And so maybe we need to shift a little bit our mode of life to see that in times of battle, certain things are more important than others. And I think one of the things that will really protect you is connect to Yara more and more every day. If you can connect to her, you can hitch on to her ascension, because it's coming back to the original spiritual Krystal blueprint, the whole shebang. So if you can hitch a ride on her, then you also will ascend with her. And so if you are in times of war, then this is what we talked about stepping up, yeah? So you have to fight for her. You have to be there for her, not just for yourself. So you've been comfortable your whole life, more or less. Now it's over. Okay, so you have to make a choice now, and you have to decide if you basically will fight for the light or go along with the darkness, if you will sell your body to the darkness. And if you fight for the light, it's not going to be comfortable, but it's gonna be amazing for your soul. Like, this is really, it's an honor to be alive right now. And so I feel so lucky. And also because I found like my purpose. And if you don't know your purpose yet, nobody can really tell you. It's really up to you. So there are techniques, methods, but you know, it's down to listening within. So you can do the techniques to become clearer in your body and your consciousness. So mantras, meditation, eating healthy, getting rid of your TV, spending less time on your phone and computer, and also cutting off from all this disinformation. So the media, just be clear that they're our enemy, the mainstream media. They're not your friend. You can look for information elsewhere, but even Google is so censored right now. So I think the best way to find information is to connect to Yara and to the crystals and to, you could say, God. So this is we all have access to it, so we can increase that channel, and then just be brave enough to follow what God wants you to do. Yeah, even if it's going to fucking Lapland minus 35, you have to do it.
Love it, man. And so what's your plans moving forward? Are you how long are you going to travel for? Like, what's the deal?
Well, the thing is, I'm doing this pro bono, so so until my money runs out. But there's a couple crystals that need to be activated. Some you can do from a distance. Some you have to go physically over it, because there's a demon usually, or there's a darkness that blocks it, so you have to clear it. And so I've got a couple ones that I need to go before I can go home. And eventually what I want to do is build a refuge near the Emerald and a school of magic. So basically remembering and practicing magic again, because it's going to come back. We cannot use this technology. This technology is corrupted at its foundation. The technology we use is not in harmony at its foundation. So, but that doesn't mean like, oh, we cannot travel anymore or communicate or have hot water. We can have higher technology, which is more in harmony. And this is by using words of power, the rays and the crystals. So the colors and the crystals. And for this, we need to remember how to do it. And so I want to do this, to practice, and then to teach it. So a Jedi school I want to make.
Yeah, I want to go to Jedi school.
Yeah, and you're welcome to join.
Yeah,
as you know.
Oh, so good, man. Yeah, I'll definitely sign up for Jedi school. Like all the kids around, all the kids around the world, they should be going to Jedi school, not to these dumbass fucking schools where
they're wearing masks now. Like, how is it going to affect them?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know
and
what?
Let's stop wearing masks, man.
Yeah, no shit.
Anyway,
let's not go into that, because that's a whole other it's a whole other subject. But yeah, so man, so cool to have you on again. And yeah, like, you know, we had a little interruption in the middle with your Wi-Fi going off and whatever, but we got through it. So
thank you for having me, Tommy. Like, I mean, I don't talk about this publicly.
Yeah,
you're the only person I do with.
It's good, man. I mean, I really love having you on and having these conversations. And, you know, as the dive down the dragon's rabbit hole gets deeper, we'll keep rocking on and see what else. Maybe I'll get you on another 3 months and see what's going on.
Okay, sure. But we didn't even talk about dragons today.
No, which is, I think, is good.
But I like dragons.
I
love
know.
dragons.
But you know what? Next time you can bring one of your dragons on, and we'll talk to our little
Okay.
dragon.
All right, let's do that.
That'd be cool. Bring a dragon on
All right.
in
Game on.
whatever form or shape.